What if the ugliest car in automotive history became a cultural icon because of two headbangers? What if Paramount Studios almost cut the most famous scene in comedy? What if the star demanded they use the worst car possible? This isn't just Wayne and Garth's ride. It's a machine built on American corporate failure, designed by committee, and saved from obscurity by accidental brilliance. The 1976 AMC Pacer Mirthmobile hides truths that'll shock even Wayne's World superfans. Number 20. Mike Myers specifically demanded the ugliest car in America, and AMC's Pacer won by unanimous vote. Here's something that'll blow your mind. When Mike Myers developed Wayne's World for Paramount Pictures, in 1990, he insisted that Wayne and Garth drive the most embarrassing, uncool car imaginable to emphasize their working-class basement-dwelling lifestyle. Myers assembled a committee including director Penelope Spheris, production designer Greg Fonseca, and several Saturday Night Live writers to vote on America's ugliest vehicle. They evaluated approximately 30 candidates, including the Chevrolet Chevette, Ford Pinto, Yugo GV, and AMC Gremlin.
This is my best friend, Garth Algar.
The 1976 AMC Pacer won this dubious honor unanimously, with voters citing its bizarre fishbowl greenhouse, asymmetrical doors, and reputation as automotive history's greatest design failure. Myers personally drove a Pacer borrowed from a Los Angeles used car lot, and immediately loved how ridiculous he looked behind the wheel. The production designer calculated that the Pacer's distinctive profile would photograph memorably and be instantly recognizable even in distant shots or quick cuts. Paramount executives initially pushed for a Gremlin instead, worried the Pacer looked too weird even for a comedy about metalheads, but Myers refused to compromise. His instinct proved correct when the Mirthmobile became as iconic as the characters themselves.
I'm just a poor boy.
Number 19. AMC designed the Pacer. As America's first wide small car, and it failed spectacularly. Moving on to automotive disasters. American Motors Corporation designed the Pacer as a revolutionary first wide small car, featuring an absurdly wide 77-inch body on a truncated 95-inch wheelbase, creating proportions that one automotive journalist described as a goldfish bowl on roller skates. AMC chief designer Richard Teague pitched the Pacer as solving the energy crisis by offering compact exterior dimensions with full-size interior space. The design featured more glass area than any production car in history, with approximately 37% of the body consisting of windows, earning the nickname Flying Fishbowl from critics. AMC spent approximately $40 million developing the Pacer, betting the company's future on consumers embracing unconventional styling. They were catastrophically wrong. The Pacer's massive glass area created greenhouse heat that air conditioning couldn't overcome, while the short wheelbase and wide body generated terrible handling characteristics.
Let me go! Let me go!
The driver's side door measured 40 inches, while the passenger door extended to 46 inches because Teague wanted easier rear seat access, creating a symmetry that looked bizarre and expensive to manufacture. Sales collapsed after initial curiosity purchases, with AMC selling only 280,000 Pacers between 1975 and 1980, before canceling the model. The Pacer became shorthand for American automotive industry incompetence during the malaise era.
Garth, pull over.
Oh man, come on!
Not again.
Number 18, Paramount bought 7 identical Pacers for $5,300 total because nobody wanted them. And get this, Paramount's transportation department purchased 7 1976 AMC Pacers for the production at an average cost of $757 each. Total expenditure of $5,300 because used Pacers had become virtually worthless by 1990. The purchasing agent visited 17 used car lots across Los Angeles County, searching for identical Pacers. finding that most dealers couldn't give them away. Several lots offered Pacers for free if Paramount would tow them off their property, viewing the cars as space-wasting inventory that attracted mockery rather than buyers. The 7 purchased Pacers ranged from 73,000 to 138,000 miles on their odometers, with varying mechanical conditions from barely runs to surprisingly functional. Paramount's mechanics spent approximately $8,000 refurbishing the Pacers to reliable running condition, more than they paid for the cars themselves.
Party on, Wade. Starts right up, cold start.
Each Pacer received fresh paint in the distinctive powder blue color, though the production used 3 slightly different blue shades across the fleet because they couldn't source enough matching paint. Sharp-eyed viewers can spot subtle color variations between scenes when different Pacers appear. The transportation coordinator later admitted they could have purchased 20 Pacers for the same budget if needed, demonstrating how thoroughly the market had rejected AMC's vision.
You ride?
Number 17, the famous flame decals, were Mike Myers' personal design, inspired by his uncle's van. But here's where personal history influenced cinema. The Mirthmobile's iconic flame decals running along the lower body panels came from Mike Myers' childhood memories of his uncle's custom 1972 Dodge van in Toronto. Myers' uncle Ed had commissioned elaborate flame graphics in the late 1970s, representing the working-class customization aesthetic that Myers wanted to capture for Wayne's character. Myers sketched the flame design himself during pre-production, insisting they be painted rather than applied as vinyl decals for an authentic 1970s appearance. Production designer Greg Fonseca hired custom paint specialist Jeff McCoy to hand paint flames on all 7 Pacers, with each set taking approximately 14 hours to complete. McCoy used traditional sign painter's techniques with one-shot enamel paint, creating slightly different flame patterns on each vehicle because free hand painting inevitably varies. Myers approved each Pacer personally, rejecting 2 initial attempts because the flames looked too professional and not trashy enough. The final flame design perfectly captured low-budget custom culture, where enthusiasts modified cars themselves with varying skill levels. The Mirthmobile's graphics became so iconic that Paramount received over 3,000 requests from fans wanting flame decal patterns, leading to official merchandise featuring the design. Myers later said, "The flames represented working-class pride in making something special from limited resources." Number 16. The Pacer's infamous AMC inline. 6 engine failed constantly during Chicago, filming moving on to mechanical nightmares. The AMC Pacer used a 232 cubic inch, 3.8 liter, inline 6 engine producing approximately 90 horsepower, barely adequate for moving the car's 2,800-pound weight under normal conditions. During the Chicago winter filming in February 1991, the Pacer's engines failed repeatedly due to cold weather, exposing existing mechanical weaknesses. Production logs document 41 separate engine failures across the 7-car fleet during 6 weeks of location shooting, with problems including frozen water pumps, cracked cylinder heads from inadequate antifreeze, failed fuel pumps, and collapsed motor mounts. The inline 6 engine featured a notoriously weak timing chain that stretched and jumped teeth when cold, causing catastrophic valve damage on 3 separate Pacers. Paramount's mechanics established a dedicated repair station in a Chicago warehouse, working overnight shifts to keep vehicles operational. Several scenes required multiple takes because the Pacers stalled mid-shot, with editors cutting around these failures. The production eventually transported 2 replacement Pacers from California as permanent backup vehicles. Stunt coordinator Joffrey Brown called the Pacers the most unreliable picture cars I've worked with, explaining that unpredictable breakdowns created scheduling chaos. The engine problems ironically enhanced the Mirthmobile's character as a barely functional car that Wayne and Garth somehow kept running through determination and mechanical ingenuity. Number 15, Mike Myers and Dana Carvey performed the Bohemian Rhapsody scene in -4-degree weather, and their breath kept fogging the windows. And speaking of Chicago winter filming, the iconic Bohemian Rhapsody scene was shot during an overnight session in -4 Fahrenheit weather, creating technical problems that nearly ruined the sequence. Myers and Carvey sat in a stationary pacer on a Chicago street from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m., lip-syncing repeatedly to Queen's song, while cameras captured multiple angles. The extreme cold caused multiple issues. The actor's breath continuously fogged the windows, requiring constant wiping between takes. The Pacer's interior lights dimmed significantly as the battery drained in sub-zero temperatures, and the cassette playback system initially froze solid, requiring the crew to warm it with space heaters. Myers and Carvey wore their regular costumes without additional layers because director Penelope Spheris wanted an authentic appearance, leaving both actors genuinely suffering from a cold throughout the 7-hour shoot. Myers later described it as the most physically uncomfortable filming experience of my career, despite being inside a car. The cold actually enhanced their performances, with their exaggerated headbanging, partly motivated by trying to generate body heat. The production shot 14 complete takes of the song, with editors combining footage from multiple takes to create the final sequence. Crew members worried hypothermia might force shutdown, but Myers insisted on continuing until Spheris felt satisfied with coverage. Number 14. Paramount executives initially wanted to cut the Bohemian Rhapsody scene for time and budget reasons. But here's the kicker about studio interference. Paramount Pictures executives viewed the Bohemian Rhapsody scene as expendable footage that should be cut to reduce runtime and avoid Queen's licensing fees. Studio analysts argued the scene added nothing to plot advancement and consumed 5 minutes of screen time without dialogue or character development. The proposed cut would have saved approximately $50,000 in music licensing costs, plus eliminated expensive overnight filming expenses in Chicago. Director Penelope Spheris and Mike Myers fought this decision aggressively, with Myers threatening to quit the production if Paramount removed what he considered the film's emotional centerpiece. Myers argued the scene demonstrated Wayne and Garth's friendship through shared musical passion, providing character depth that dialogue couldn't match. Spheris arranged a test screening with the scene included, and audience response cards overwhelmingly identified the Bohemian Rhapsody sequence as their favorite moment. This empirical evidence convinced Paramount to retain the scene, though executives remained skeptical about its value. The film's release proved Myers correct spectacularly, with the scene becoming Wayne's World's most iconic moment and triggering a massive Queen revival. Bohemian Rhapsody re-entered Billboard charts 14 years after original release, reaching number 2 and introducing Queen to a new generation. Paramount executives later admitted their initial judgment was catastrophically wrong. Number 13. The scene's success increased Bohemian Rhapsody sales by over 5,000% and saved Queen's legacy, moving on to cultural impact. Before Wayne's World's February 1992 release, Bohemian Rhapsody generated minimal radio airplay and sales in America, largely forgotten except by dedicated Queen fans. The song had originally peaked at number 9 on Billboard's Hot 100 in 1976, but became virtually invisible throughout the 1980s. Wayne's World changed everything overnight. Within 2 weeks of the film's release, Bohemian Rhapsody re-entered the Billboard Hot 100 at number 2, blocked from number 1 only by Vanessa Williams's Save the Best for Last. The song's sales increased by an estimated 5,300% compared to 1991 figures, with Hollywood Records pressing additional copies to meet demand. Music industry analysts calculated that Wayne's World introduced Queen to approximately 40 million Americans under the age 25 who had minimal previous exposure to the band. This revival came at a crucial moment, just 3 months after Freddie Mercury's death in November 1991 threatened to reduce Queen to legacy act obscurity. The film essentially rescued Queen from potential irrelevance, cementing their status as timeless rock legends rather than dated 70s act. Brian May and Roger Taylor publicly credited Wayne's World with keeping Queen commercially viable and culturally relevant for new generations. The Mirthmobile scene generated more lasting impact than anyone involved anticipated. Number 12. AMC's Pacer was originally designed around a rotary engine that never actually existed. And get this about engineering disasters. American Motors designed the Pacer's entire chassis and body around a revolutionary rotary engine that General Motors promised to deliver, but never actually manufactured. In 1972, GM announced development of a Wankel rotary engine for production by 1975, claiming it would revolutionize American automotive efficiency. AMC, lacking resources to develop advanced engines independently, bet its compact car program on licensing GM's rotary technology. Designer Richard Teague created the Pacer's wide body specifically to accommodate the rotary engine's unique cooling requirements and compact dimensions. AMC invested $40 million in tooling and production facilities optimized for rotary-powered vehicles. Then, GM canceled rotary engine development in 1974, citing insurmountable emissions, compliance, and reliability problems. This left AMC with a completed Pacer design optimized for an engine that didn't exist. AMC frantically adapted the Pacer to accept their existing inline-six engine. But this power plant was never intended for the chassis, creating the terrible power-to-weight ratio and poor fuel economy that doomed the model. The inline-six engine barely fit in the engine bay, designed for the compact rotary, requiring awkward mounting positions that complicated maintenance. The Pacer essentially became an orphan design, engineered for one purpose but forced to serve another, explaining many of its fundamental flaws. Number 11. The Mirthmobile's licorice dispenser was a real working prop that broke down after 3 days. But here's where production ingenuity met reality. The Mirthmobile's dashboard-mounted red licorice dispenser, featured prominently during early scenes, was an actual functioning mechanism built by the prop department rather than a static decoration. Prop master Russell Bobbitt designed and fabricated a custom dispenser using modified candy vending machine components, mounting it to the Pacer's dashboard and loading it with approximately 200 red licorice ropes. The mechanism worked through a simple gravity feed system, where turning a knob released licorice through a chute, similar to commercial candy dispensers. Myers and Carvey practiced operating the dispenser during rehearsals, developing the casual candy-grabbing business that appears in finished scenes. However, the dispenser's mechanical reliability lasted approximately 3 days of filming before the plastic gears stripped and the feed mechanism jammed irreparably. The prop department built 2 replacement dispensers, but both failed within days due to the mechanism's inherent fragility. For remaining scenes, prop assistants manually fed licorice through the dispenser from below the dashboard, creating the illusion of mechanical operation. The dispenser became one of Wayne's World's most requested props, with Paramount receiving thousands of inquiries from fans wanting to purchase replicas. Several third-party manufacturers eventually created licensed licorice dispensers, though none matched the prop department's original design. Number 10. 5 of the 7 production Pacers were destroyed or scrapped immediately after filming concluded, moving on to disposal decisions. When Wayne's World production wrapped in April 1991, Paramount's transportation department immediately scrapped or sold 5 of the 7 Mirthmobiles, viewing them as worthless assets not worth storing. The production coordinator calculated that warehouse storage would cost more than the vehicle's value, recommending immediate disposal. 2 Pacers went directly to junkyards where they were crushed within weeks. Another 2 were sold at public auction for approximately $400 each to buyers who wanted parts. And 1 was donated to a Los Angeles technical school for mechanic training, where students eventually disassembled it completely. This left only 2 surviving Mirthmobiles from the original fleet. Nobody anticipated Wayne's World becoming a cultural phenomenon that would make these props valuable. When the film became a massive hit in February 1992, Paramount executives realized they'd made a catastrophic mistake. Destroying iconic movie vehicles that could have been worth hundreds of thousands in promotional tours and museum displays. The transportation department attempted to track down the sold and donated Pacers, but discovered they'd already been destroyed or stripped for parts. This disposal decision represented standard industry practice at the time, but looks remarkably short-sighted in retrospect. The 2 surviving Mirthmobiles became extraordinarily valuable precisely because they were so rare. Number 9. 1 surviving Mirthmobile sold. at auction for $210,000. In 2022, and speaking of value explosions, one authenticated Wayne's World. Mirthmobile sold at Barrett-Jackson Auction in Scottsdale, Arizona, in January 2022 for $210,000, nearly 400 times what Paramount originally paid for it. The vehicle, identified through production documentation and VIN verification as the primary hero car used for close-up filming, had passed through 4 private owners between 1991 and 2021. The seller purchased it in 2006 for $18,000, realizing 35,000%. Return over 16 years, one of the highest appreciation rates for any movie vehicle. The winning bidder, an anonymous collector, beat 12 other serious bidders in intense competition that pushed the price far beyond pre-auction estimates of $80,000 to $120,000. Barrett-Jackson's automotive specialists authenticated the vehicle through matching flame paint patterns visible in specific film frames, original AMC VIN plates, and residual mounting hardware for camera equipment. The Mirthmobile sale established it as one of cinema's most valuable comedy props, commanding prices comparable to those of serious action film vehicles, such as James Bond's Aston Martins or the Batmobile. Automotive investment analysts attribute the extraordinary value to Wayne's World's enduring popularity across multiple generations, and the Pacer's status as ironic automotive icon rather than conventional classic car. Number 8. The Pacer's asymmetrical doors made filming extremely difficult because cameras couldn't shoot both sides identically. But here's the kicker about cinematographic challenges. The AMC Pacer's bizarre asymmetrical door design, with the passenger door 6 inches longer than the driver's door, created significant filming problems that required creative solutions. Director of photography Theo van de Sande discovered during pre-production that shooting identical angles from driver and passenger sides produced noticeably different framing because door proportions didn't match. Wide shots showing both doors simultaneously emphasized the asymmetry, which looked amateurish or like a continuity error unless deliberately acknowledged. Van de Sande developed specific shot protocols that either embraced the asymmetry as character quirk or carefully framed to minimize visible differences. Several scenes required reshooting because early takes made the Pacer look broken or deformed rather than authentically weird. The passenger door's extra length also complicated shots involving actors entering or exiting simultaneously, as the mismatched door swings created awkward staging. Myers initially wanted to make jokes about the asymmetrical doors, but test audiences found references confusing rather than funny, so all explicit mentions were cut. The production eventually established that Wayne always drove and Garth always occupied the passenger seat, minimizing door-related composition problems. Modern film students studying Wayne's World often identify the careful camera work that manages the Pacer's asymmetry without drawing attention to the technical challenge. Number 7. Mike Myers personally owned a Pacer before Wayne's World and considered it the perfect loser. Moving on to personal connections. Mike Myers actually owned a 1977 AMC Pacer in baby blue before developing Wayne's World, purchasing it in 1986 for $1,200 when he needed cheap transportation in Toronto. Myers drove the Pacer for approximately 2 years, accumulating countless stories about mechanical failures, embarrassing public reactions, and the vehicle's general inadequacy. He later described the Pacer as a car that actively made you less cool just by association, which perfectly matched Wayne Campbell's character. Myers' personal Pacer experience informed specific details in the film, including jokes about poor heating, window fogging, and the car's tendency to stall at inconvenient moments. Several scenes feature Wayne performing maintenance or dealing with mechanical problems directly inspired by Myers' actual experiences. Myers sold his personal Pacer in 1988 for $600, taking a 50% loss after just 2 years of ownership, which he considered fortunate given the car's declining condition. When he pitched Wayne's World to Lorne Michaels at Saturday Night Live, Myers specifically cited the Pacer as essential to Wayne's character, arguing that the car communicated economic status and cultural identity without dialogue. This authentic connection shows in the film's affectionate treatment of the Mirthmobile as beloved, despite being objectively terrible. Number 6. The Mirthmobile scene saved AMC's legacy from complete obscurity and historical erasure. And get this about corporate resurrection. Before Wayne's World, American Motors Corporation faced complete historical erasure, with younger generations having zero awareness that AMC had ever existed as an independent automaker. AMC ceased operations in 1987, when Chrysler acquired the remaining assets, discontinuing all AMC branding and absorbing products into the Jeep division. By 1991, AMC had virtually vanished from American cultural memory, except among automotive historians and older enthusiasts. The Pacer had become shorthand for automotive failure, appearing in worst cars ever made lists without broader context about AMC's history. Wayne's World changed this trajectory dramatically. The Mirthmobile introduced millions of teenagers and young adults to AMC's existence, generating curiosity about the defunct automaker and its unusual products. Automotive museums reported massive increases in Pacer-related inquiries following the film's release, with visitors specifically requesting information about AMC's history. Several automotive journalists credited Wayne's World with rescuing AMC from being forgotten entirely, lending the company's legacy cultural relevance through its association with a beloved comedy. The film essentially transformed the Pacer from an embarrassing failure into an ironic icon, allowing for retrospective appreciation of AMC's ambition, even if the execution fell short. Without Wayne's World, AMC would likely exist only in specialized automotive history books, rather than mainstream cultural consciousness. Number 5. Dana Carvey couldn't drive manual transmission. So, all Mirthmobiles were automatics, despite period accuracy issues. But here's where casting limitations affected authenticity. Dana Carvey never learned to drive manual transmission vehicles, forcing production to use automatic transmission Pacers despite 1976 models typically coming with manual gearboxes. AMC offered 3-speed automatic transmission as an option on 1976. Pacers, though, only approximately 30% of buyers selected it because automatics cost extra and reduced already poor fuel economy. Paramount's transportation department specifically searched for automatic transmission Pacers, making the vehicle search more difficult and expensive. Several potential purchases fell through when inspection revealed manual transmissions that Carvey couldn't operate. This created minor period accuracy problems, because working-class characters like Wayne and Garth would more likely drive manual transmission vehicles in 1976. However, director Penelope Spheris prioritized Carvey's comfort over perfect authenticity, reasoning that audiences wouldn't notice transmission types. Several scenes required reshooting when Carvey accidentally shifted the automatic into neutral during takes, stalling the engine. The production considered teaching Carvey manual transmission operation, but decided the training time would delay filming unacceptably. Myers, who could drive a manual transmission, operated the Mirthmobile during all scenes requiring Garth to drive, although careful editing concealed this arrangement. The automatic transmission requirement demonstrates how seemingly minor casting limitations can propagate through production decisions with subtle but measurable impacts. Number 4. The Pacers. Massive windows made lighting. Extremely difficult and required 16-hour shooting days. Moving on to technical cinematography challenges. The AMC Pacer's unprecedented glass area, approximately 37% of total body surface, created enormous lighting problems for director of photography Theo Van de Sande. Traditional automotive filming techniques rely on controlling light through limited window areas. However, the Pacer's fishbowl greenhouse allowed uncontrolled ambient light to come from every direction. Van de Sande couldn't use standard automotive lighting rigs because the massive windows reflected lighting equipment from nearly every camera angle. Interior scenes required building massive light-controlling frameworks around entire vehicles, using enormous black fabric panels to eliminate unwanted reflections and create directable lighting. Setting up these frameworks consumed approximately 3 hours per location, dramatically slowing production pace. Several Chicago locations proved impossible to light adequately, forcing production to move to controlled environments. The glass also created color temperature problems because natural daylight mixed with artificial lighting produced inconsistent color balance that editors struggled to correct. Van de Sande experimented with various solutions, including heavily polarized filters, neutral density gel on windows, and precise sunlight positioning, though none solved problems completely. The Pacer's windows ultimately forced average shooting days of 16 hours compared to typical 12-hour days for comparable productions, adding significant budget costs. Van de Sande later called lighting the Mirthmobile the most frustrating technical challenge in my 30-year career. Number 3. Mike Myers insisted on real snow during Chicago filming and production. Waited 3 weeks for adequate snowfall. And speaking of production delays, Mike Myers refused to film Wayne's World Chicago sequences using artificial snow, insisting that authentic winter conditions were essential to the film's aesthetic. Myers argued that fake snow always looks artificial and would undermine the film's grounded, realistic portrayal of Midwestern working-class life. This decision created a massive gamble because production scheduled Chicago filming for February 1991 without guaranteeing adequate snowfall. Director Penelope Spheris initially agreed with Myers, but grew increasingly anxious as the crew arrived in Chicago to find minimal snow coverage. Production idled for 3 weeks, costing Paramount approximately $18,000 daily in crew salaries, equipment rental, and location fees, while waiting for sufficient snowfall. Paramount executives in Los Angeles demanded production use artificial snow and proceed immediately, threatening to shut down the Chicago shoot entirely. Myers held firm, supported by Spheris, who recognized that authentic snow would enhance visual quality significantly. Finally, a major winter storm dumped 11 inches of snow across Chicago in late February, allowing production to complete all winter sequences within 5 days. The authentic snow appears throughout the film's most memorable scenes, including the Bohemian Rhapsody sequence, providing genuine atmosphere that artificial snow couldn't match. Myers' stubbornness cost nearly $500,000 in delays, but delivered superior visual results. Number 2. The second surviving Mirthmobile lives in a Planet Hollywood restaurant and has never been displayed properly. But here's the kicker about lost opportunities: the second authenticated Wayne's World. Mirthmobile spent 28 years installed in a Planet Hollywood restaurant in Niagara Falls, Ontario, where it was positioned incorrectly, poorly lit, and largely ignored by visitors focused on other memorabilia. Planet Hollywood acquired the vehicle in 1994 as part of their movie memorabilia collection, paying approximately $12,000 when Wayne's World props had minimal market value. The restaurant mounted the Pacer on a raised platform near the entrance, but positioned it facing a wall, preventing visitors from seeing the driver's side, flame decals, or interior details. Poor lighting made the powder blue paint appear gray, and accumulated dust from kitchen exhaust gradually obscured the custom graphics. For nearly 3 decades, one of cinema's most iconic vehicles languished in a casual dining restaurant, where most patrons didn't recognize its significance. The Pacer's placement prevented proper photography, resulting in few quality images that document this survivor. Planet Hollywood Niagara Falls closed in 2022, and the Mirthmobile's current location remains undisclosed, with the parent company refusing to comment on the disposition of memorabilia collections. Automotive historians consider this treatment a tragedy, representing millions of dollars in lost exhibition revenue and educational opportunity. The vehicle deserves museum-quality display, but instead spent decades as an overlooked restaurant decoration. Number 1, Wayne's World made the AMC Pacer the only car in history to become more valuable after being called the ugliest vehicle ever made. And the number 1 weirdest fact, Wayne's World achieved the seemingly impossible feat of increasing AMC Pacer values by making the car's ugliness a desirable feature rather than a defect. Before the film, Pacers sold for $300 to $700 in used markets, with most eventually scrapped because nobody wanted them. The cars depreciated to near zero value by 1990, with insurance companies often totaling them rather than repairing minor damage. Wayne's World inverted this relationship completely, transforming the Pacer's notorious ugliness into ironic coolness that significantly increased collectability. Within 6 months of the film's release, clean Pacer prices jumped to $1,500 to $3,000, purely due to Wayne's World association. By 2000, decent examples commanded $5,000 to $8,000, and by 2020, pristine Pacers sold for $15,000 to $25,000 to collectors wanting the Wayne's World car. The Pacer became the only vehicle in automotive history where being called ugly increased rather than decreased market value, with sellers explicitly marketing poor styling as desirable feature. This represents unprecedented cultural transformation, where a film rescued a failed product from obscurity and repositioned objective flaws as subjective virtues. The Mirthmobile essentially rewrote automotive collecting rules, proving that cultural significance could override aesthetic and mechanical considerations in establishing value.